guys, this is Kim from Creative DIY Purpose. Welcome. I'm so glad that you're here. If you'd like upcycle projects, thrifting, thrift flips, and you love vintage treasures, you are in the right place. We're going to be taking these thrifted home decor pieces and giving them a fresh new makeover. So come on, let's get started.
For our first project, I picked up this stainless steel little dish at Goodwill for only 99 cents. I really liked all the details of it and the shape. So I'm going to take some of the paint that I mixed up last week, and that was just 2 parts of regular wall paint and 1 part baking soda. And it just gives it a really nice texture. And I also picked this piece up when we went downstate to Goodwill for $2.99. And the little chip that's in the ceramic is okay because we can go ahead and fix that and patch it up with some air dry clay. So after I cleaned both of the items and sprayed them both with a coat of spray sealer, that way the textured paint would adhere. Then I applied 1 coat of the textured paint, and once that was dry, I went ahead and just gave them a quick coat of spray paint and a matte white finish. My next step was I actually took DIY clear wax and applied it prior to me putting the dark wax on like you see here. So I wanted to be able to pull off any of that dark wax if I got too much, but I really want to bring out the beautiful details and especially that texture because I wanted to have like a real concrete vintage bird bath look. So here I am just wiping off with a cotton cloth, just wiping off some of the dark wax. In some of the areas, it did get a little bit too dark for me, so I just took some of the clear wax onto my cloth and wiped some of the dark back. I wanted to give the inside of the bird bath a little something, so I went on to canva.com and just added some images and then printed them out on tissue paper from Elmer's, and that's going to allow me to be able to position it the way that I want. And then I'm just smushing out all the bubbles. And it actually came out really smooth. Just took a X-Acto knife and went around just so that way the image was just right down in the bottom of the dish. Then the last step is to apply some E6000 to both surfaces and let it sit. But I am going to sand the spot in the middle of this dish just so it adheres better. I hope you like this project and that it inspires you to maybe take 2 things that you might have on hand that don't look so good on their own, but can be combined to make something completely new. All right, I picked this wooden crate up. I believe it says $3.99 on it. I needed a good scrubbing, a lot of sanding, and I actually had to use wood filler twice to fill in all of those holes from the nails, and there were a couple cracks. But I went ahead, applied some white spray paint, and now I'm just using that green sage that we made last week. I'm just lightly brushing it on so that way we'll have a weathered look.
Okay, so we got this piece all distressed and sanded around the edges and the corners. And on one side, you can still kind of see a little bit where the apples were. So what I thought I would go ahead and do, I have this beautiful napkin. I think I'm going to go ahead and try
to adhere it right to the front of the basket. This little wooden basket reminds me of something you would take out to the garden and pick some fresh flowers in. So that's why I decided to use the word bloom in the IOD stamps. Very spring-like. I'm going to stamp onto the napkin, and then we'll go ahead and place it on the front. Line this box up, and this is going to kind of be my guide. The napkin won't move on me. Then we're going to go from this side to this side. Ooh, so far so good. Yay! So I went ahead and sprayed some of the adhesive onto the box. And now I'm just going on, after I got the napkin positioned the way that I wanted, I'm just going through with a cloth and just smoothing out any wrinkles.
All right, so I'm gonna let that dry. Then I'm gonna spray it with some of the clear acrylic spray. And then I'm just gonna go through and I'll sand all the edges. I'm just gonna make sure that the adhesive is dry first. And you could always apply the napkin with Mod Podge.
So I wanted to go ahead and give this piece just a little bit more of an aged, weathered look. So I'm going to go ahead and just lightly apply some DIY white wax. I'm just going to let it sit there for a while, and then I'll wipe it back. So our thrifted vintage items today, we're going to start off with two beautiful brooches by Monet. Monet started in 1927 and they switched over to custom jewelry in 1929. Now this next piece, I don't have any information on it. I did pick it up at an estate sale along with the vanity tray in the back. I believe that it is a trinket dish, or it could even be a powder dish. And I believe that this vanity dresser tray is from Ellie Smith in 1939. It's a beaded medallion pattern. And they were actually the last hand-molded glass factory in the United States when they were sold in bankruptcy back in 2005. And back in the day, they actually made headlights for the Model T Ford. This next piece I don't believe is vintage, but I thought it was perfect in some spring home decor. So on the bottom of this coffee pot, it says that it's stoneware, dishwasher safe, microwave safe, and it is the country garden theme. All right, so for our next upcycle project, I have this wooden and wicker tray that I picked up at Goodwill on our trip for only $2.99. It's a nice, solid, and sturdy piece, and we're going to go paint it right now. So this wooden and wicker tray look completely different. I did one coat of paint brushed on and then 2 coats of spray paint just to make sure that it had full coverage. So this is only going to take just a few minutes. I'm going to use the rest of the napkin that I had and some Mod Podge. I was going to go outside and use the spray adhesive, but it is -12, and that is not even including the wind chill. So what I did was just apply a coat of Mod Podge and work each section. I did have to cut the napkin into 5 different pieces in order to attempt to have the print line up. You can see in the middle where there's a darker strip, that's where it was overlapping, but that's okay because I purposely put these wrinkles in because I want to go in with a coat of white wax and just go over all those wrinkles. And I'm hoping that the white wax is going to tuck down inside, so that way when I wipe it back on the top, I'm going to get a nice weathered look, and it's also going to soften the color up a little bit. All right, so our Mod Podge has had a chance to dry. I did cover the entire piece with one good layer. And now I'm just adding some of the DIY white wax on. I'm kind of doing it every which way to try to get it inside of those wrinkles. I did do the whole rest of the piece except for that top corner. It's kind of hard to tell. I apologize. The lighting is off and it actually shows a really dark shadow, and I do apologize. I'm going to let the wax sit there for a bit and then just lightly buff it out with a cotton cloth. I love how simple this upcycled project was, and I think it came out really sweet. Let me know in the comments below what you think and what projects you're working on. I want to thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed today's video. I look forward to seeing you guys again next Sunday. Have a great week and God bless.